It's Inkros here, and today I'm going to be doing a mini tutorial on how I draw faces. I decided that I wanted to do something like a little sketch talk where it's just kind of me talking live into the mic as I do these little drawings in Photoshop. And I was going to show you today how to do a face. How I usually draw a face anyway. Like, each artist kind of draws it a little differently, but there's usually little basics that we all like to use, like ways of structuring the face before we get in the details. So today I'm going to be drawing Ahri from League of Legends. I have two little references here. One is her older splash art, and the other one is her newer splash art. She looks kind of different, at least in terms of facial structure, a little bit different. She has more of a chin here. So I'm just gonna kind of draw her from this reference, but kind of in my own style and with really fluffy hair like this one, because I love the fluffy hair. So let's get started. Usually when I'm doing heads, the first thing I do is kind of sketch out a really faint circle. And the reason I'm kind of doing this video also is because a lot of people have been asking me how I do certain things, because sometimes in my time-lapse videos, it's kind of hard to tell what exactly I'm doing because it's going so fast. Though sometimes I suggest you can actually go into YouTube settings and kind of slow the video down if you want to see a more in-depth look at what I'm doing and that kind of thing. So now that I've gotten my basic little circle down, it's not exact, but that's alright, it doesn't have to be. Some artists like to immediately go in and do like the cross hatching, but I like to go in, it's not the best thing in the world, but I like to go in and kind of do the cheekbones first. I like to cut into the circle and make the indentation for where like the eye line is, and then I go out and make the cheek. Now Ahri's cheek is kind of very rounded, and sometimes the good thing about digital art is that you can go back and erase whenever you need to. That's super handy. Let me go back to some of my references and take a look at them. Okay. Let me get a better look here at this reference. Alright. So, I like to do the cheek. And let me just go ahead and do this real quick. I'm not going to be talking the whole time because sometimes I don't really need to, but if anything comes to my mind, I will say it. For now, just watch. I don't usually do this when I'm drawing, like have this be a permanent line. What I do is I do kind of train tracking with lines, so I get it to be exactly how I want it to be and get it to have a really rough sort of feeling, because I feel sometimes that has more personality. And when I do stuff like this where it's permanent lines, when I'm doing line art, like the finished line art, but I do the train tracking sort of style for sketches. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to get a feel for where I want things to be and how I want the drawing to look. Like I said, Ahri's kind of got a very rounded cheek. Very sort of kind of a little, not chubby, but very like full cheeks. And again, it kind of just depends on what splash art you use as reference. I'm going in and cleaning up my lines as I go along to get them to where I want them to be, just erasing off certain bits. I usually kind of add a little bit of neck here just to start giving shape to the head. I'm gonna actually elongate her head a little bit too, which you can do by pressing Command T when you're in Photoshop. When you do that, it brings up this, which will let you kind of edit, squash and stretch, make bigger or smaller. And this is in Photoshop, by the way. but Command T I'm pretty sure works with some other art programs as well. So there's also another little tool that's really helpful. It's called the lasso tool. You press L to activate it, and then you drag around the area you want to move around. Once you've dragged around that area, you press V to switch to your select tool. You select it, and it will move only that little part, even if it's on the same layer. And then I press L and click on another area to deselect. Now I'm going to do this little crosshatch thing you've probably seen before, where it kind of puts the line of where you want the eyes and the nose and mouth to line up. And I'm going to draw an eye first, because I almost always start with this eye right here. The eye on the side of, and the side that's more facing the viewer. Just kind of add shape and personality to the eye. I love making my eye shape slightly different for each character, because that's what makes the character kind of stand out. Your character, the people are going to be looking directly at their face and directly at their eyes first and foremost, so you almost want their eyes to sort of express what kind of character they are. That's what really is great about character design. I'm using my keyboard to quickly switch between tools. And now her eye is a lot more defined. Ari's eyes are actually like little slits, so I'm gonna put in her little pupil right here and have her eyes as kind of slits, because she was a fox at one point before she was partially turned into a human. That's part of her backstory. I might do a narration of it at one point, because I'm starting to do some of the League of Legends characters' backstories as well. And now her eyebrow. Starting to erase some of the construction lines. You could also have the construction lines on a different layer and just get rid of the layer, but I don't really bother usually. Then she has like these little painted on whiskers kind of things. Different characters usually have different kind of facial markings sometimes. Like sometimes some characters have moles, some characters have beards or mustaches, things like that, that add little bits of personality to them as well. It's an important part of character design is figuring out what little details and what little markings, tattoos, scars, things like that you want in your character. You don't want to go overboard with stuff like that, but it is a good idea to consider putting on those kind of things. Like a scar can kind of make a character look grizzled and really battle worn, stuff like that. They can look tough, wise, old, things like that. I'm gonna kind of add on her ears really quick here, because I really love drawing animal ears. They're really fun. And I'm gonna start on her nose. I'm gonna switch to different reference to kind of switch between the references to kind of look and see what her most striking features are between these two different pictures of her. Like, now I'm going to kind of look at how her nose is depicted in each of these drawings, and it's kind of a very upturned nose. So I'm gonna try to express that in the art, and I'm kind of gonna make it look a little fox-like as well, at least as much as I can on a human nose. kind of very pointed, a little bit like Tracer's nose. So now that we've got the nose started on, kind of gives us more of a basis of where things are in the face. I can start to draw the line that kind of connects the eyebrows of a person to their nose. I wonder if you ever really thought about that. There's this little line that connects the nose and the eyebrows. And then I'm going to draw a bit of the other nostril poking out on this side. Now I'm going to go ahead and do her mouth. Looking at my reference here, she's got very pouty lips, and her top lip is actually about the same size, if not a little bit bigger than her bottom lip, which is usually not the case, but here it makes her look kind of ravishing and pouty. She's supposed to be a very beautiful character. So we want to give her that kind of expression where she's like, just something pretty. And almost kind of like a cat mouth, fox-like mouth. Almost kind of playful. Then we want to kind of focus on defining these lips, giving them shape and color and character. Well, not color yet, but giving them kind of their own unique shape, because again, people have different lip shapes also. A good tip I actually found from a Disney animator on one of their little tip videos is that adding this little kind of dimple here, or this little dark spot at the end of the mouth, does add a little bit more personality to the character as well, and adds a bit more to their smile. Now her mouth is a little too close to her nose here, so we're gonna pull it down a little bit. I'm gonna also shrink it a little bit, squash it. And then I'm going to add a little bump for her chin right here. And I'm gonna pull up her nose a bit too. It's a little too low on the face. And then also to the side as well, so it fits more in with the indentation in the lips. I'm gonna add these little lines right here. I'm gonna go ahead and add some necklines too. Oops. And now it's time for that dreaded thing called the other eye. But what's great about digital art is that if you really want to, sometimes people don't like to do this because they like to draw out all their eyes by hand and not be cheap with it. What you can do is what I sometimes do, depending on the situation, is use the L tool to select the eye you've already drawn. Press Command C and then Command V, and then you've got another eye. Now this looks a bit awkward. It doesn't look right. So what you can do is go to Edit, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And now she's pretty derpy and the eye doesn't really fit. So what we do to fix that is we press Command T to transform, and then we squish it in a little bit. And you also kind of want to squish it down a little bit to make it look good. Or maybe rotate it a bit. But now she's still looking pretty derpy. So what you do is you go in, you can erase this eye, and then redraw the pupil so that it fits with the other pupil and doesn't make her look super derpy. I also like to shade in the top lip a bit because usually in shading, the top lips are actually more shaded than the bottom lips because the light is hitting the bottom lips a little more than it's hitting the top lips. So the bottom lips aren't quite as shaded as the top lips are. So when you kind of do this effect, it makes them look really ravishing and really, really beautiful. I'm also gonna shade in her mouth a bit too. Unless I want that to be her teeth in there, but his teeth are still shaded, so do a slight. I'm gonna kind of erase a bit just to add a little glare to her lips. That looks nice. This is just a sketch though. And I'm gonna kind of draw in the other eyebrow. Maybe I want it to be kind of a DreamWorks facey, where one eyebrow is low and the other's kind of arched. Like this. Could make her look like she's saying, "Oh, really? Mm-hmm." Something like that. So now I'm also, since the eyes are a little different than what this cheekbone entailed, I'm gonna kind of shrink it down a bit so the eye line fits more. And now is more of the fun part, which is hair. A lot of people get freaked out about drawing hair, but it's honestly like one of my favorite things to draw. I just love drawing hair a lot, especially when it's floofy, like I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it super floofy. Oh, I forgot to draw her other whisker things on her face. Alright, so I got one ear here. I'm gonna draw the other ear over here real fast. Gonna have it be facing this way, so it's kind of turned to the side so you can't see inside it as much. Now I'm going to kind of transform it a little bit so it doesn't look as weird. Put the forehead line over it a bit. But anyway, this kind of area is going to be covered by her hair anyway, so I'm going to make a new layer for her hair. And I'm going to go ahead and draw in the hair. I'm going to use this reference for the hair because I really like how it looks in this picture. So now I'm going to kind of, this is where I use more sweeping strokes because hair is very flowing, unlike a face, which is more hardened. While faces are soft, they don't flow like hair does. So I'm gonna kind of I'm starting at her part, and I'm just kind of letting it flow into the pieces of hair. And then I'm kind of going in the back here and starting in on her back hair. Like, this is what I mean when I say I find drawing hair very fun, because it's so flowing and pretty and fun to draw for me. You might find drawing hair really fun too. Like I said, I know I do. And you want to keep hair in small chunks as well. So like this is a bang of hair right here. And this is its own chunk of hair right here. This is its own chunk right here. Keep it flowing, keep it beautiful. Maybe you want to have it following one specific direction like the wind is blowing it, or maybe you just want it to be very free flowing. in these little details can make it fun as well. Her hair is very wild and untamable, just like she is as a fox girl. Oh, I accidentally switched colors there. So this is mostly just sketchy hair. It's not super defined yet, but I kind of have the general movement that I want for it. The general feel. I have this big lock right here that kind of defines this movement. I have more over here. Just remember to have fun with your hair. Make it beautiful, make it flowing. Especially, well, for female hair. With male hair, usually it's more structured and rigid looking, kind of like the body of a male, compared to a female's body, which is usually more curved. Males and females have very different sort of structures, and that goes into the design of their hair and clothing too as well. Females usually have more flowing clothing and males usually have more rigid squared clothing. But that's something probably for another video. For now, let's just finish up with our sketch of Ari. This isn't the best thing ever, but it's pretty fun to practice and sketch with stuff like this. It's super messy, but I really like how the flow looks. And now I'm gonna do some quick little fun shading in. Just to kind of give some quick color, well, relative grayscale to the piece. Just to make it look like kind of a more refined sketch. And her ears are kind of like the color of her hair too, so I'm gonna go in and do these too. Make these even darker, the insides of her ears. And then we can add like very simple really simple under neck shading. But I think I'm gonna go a little lighter with that. There we go. Kind of very simple under nose shading too. Maybe a little in the eyes. Little on the chin area. Now I'm gonna erase a bit around here. It's looking so far, but I'm gonna add just a little bit more detail by making it look like her hair is shiny. I'm kind of doing these little reflection spots. Now my light is coming from here. It's kind of beaming down on her face, so from that point of reference, we're able to kind of put just some fun little shines on her hair by just erasing parts of the shading that we put on. And that's about it for my Ari. So this is just a quick little sketch. I hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. I'm gonna go ahead and sign it. And remember everyone, with a great art piece comes great practice. That's gonna be my little saying for these videos, I guess. I hope you enjoyed it, and like I said, I hope you learned something. And if you want more really quick tutorial videos like this, just tell me in the comments. I'm coming out with I have a bunch of new content and videos in the works that are actually like really well edited and stuff like this. Nothing that's really quick and dirty like this one was. And I hope you will like them when they come out. There's new Dragon Queen videos on the way. My book is still being edited and it's going to be published like before December, hopefully. And I got some other Dragon Queen related content, not just the audiobooks, but also world building stuff for Dragon Queen. And I got some more video game content coming out too related to that. You're going to be really excited when you see what it is. And I hope to see you all later.